So Motzei Shabbos, we light the candle, make the bracha, because Adam Rishon first saw darkness on Motzei Shabbos, and he created fire. So that means that the 36 hours beforehand, Adam Rishon had light the whole time. So from his creation, all the whole way in the whole 24 hours of Shabbos, he had light, and the light only set then after that, after Shabbos. So the first Shabbos, he had light. So it's 36 hours of sun from his creation until Motzei Shabbos. So we have 36 candles of Chanuka, which reflects the organos, that the light that God created, then he hid. So that's the hidden light from the first days of creation. And where did he hide it? He hid it in the Torah. Now, Talmid Chacham is greater than a Navi. As a Navi has Nevuah when God decides to give him Nevuah. But Talmid Chacham can constantly get the light out of the Torah at all points in time. So the Chacham is greater than a Navi. So therefore, you can't have Chanuka, which is the festival of Torah, which is the festival of the light. You can't have that written in Nevuah because it's on a level higher than Nevuah. So if a Navi writes about the festival of Chanuka, then it wouldn't be the festival of Chanuka, because Chanuka itself is beyond Nevuah. So Chanuka happens after the end of Nevuah and the Histalkus of God talking Peh al Peh. So God's talking to the Navi, and then that ends. And then we're left with Ruach HaKodesh. So Chanukah is Davka, the miracle happened Davka with oil. Because when oil is in a Kli, then it always leaves a Rushum. It always leaves a leftover. Like if you pick up a piece of bread and put it down, your hands are clean, but then there's a thing called oily hands. You can't get the oil off. You got to wash it off, try to remove it, that it leaves a Rushum. So if that is the state in which we're in, is the Rushum of the Shekhinah, and everywhere where the Shekhinah goes, when it leaves the Rushum. So the Shekhinah is dwelling in the Torah, and the Or of Chanukah is in the Torah, which is greater than the Nevuah, and therefore we use oil for Chanukah. So the Greeks said to the Jews, write for yourself on a keren of the shore, on a cow's horn, Ein lechem chilek be'elokei Yisrael. You don't have a portion in the God of Israel. So David and Shlomo, they were kinged through a keren, through a horn who had the oil in it. However, Saul was kinged with oil from Pach. Since David represents the Mashiach, and rather than the keren, Davka the keren, which is how David was kinged. We don't have the chilek in God. Is that what we say? There's no such thing as Mashiach. And Mashiach is the mashpia from. It's coming from the oral Torah, Torah Sheba'al Peh, and not the written Torah. So Davka they say right on the keren because it's saying you have no chilek in the oral Torah. And the gematria of Pach is 100, gematria of keren is 350, and the difference is 250, which is the gematria of Ner. Keren is the gematria of Imloch Le'olam Vo'ed. The Olam and Vo'ed don't have vovs. It's Vo'ed, but not. So therefore, the Malchus continues through the Keren. The Malchus of Pach is only a short-term Malchus. So Davka, by the miracle of the Pach, the Chashmonayim and the Gedolim of the time saw that this is a time for a Malchus that is not a Keren Malchus. This is only a Yimloch. The Gematria Pach is Yimloch, missing the Olam Vo'ed. So therefore they established the Malchus, which is only Zmani Malchus, which is the Malchus of the Chashmonayim. That's why they took it on, and there wasn't a big hoo-ha in order to stop them, because the Ner, the mitzvah of Chanukah, came out through the Pach, and therefore they see it's only for a Malchus that is Zmani. So again, there's another reason why you can't write down, since the miracle of Chanukah, the Ner, is Meira, is teaching about Torah Sheba'al Peh and the Mashiach, and that coming that goes beyond the words. And the Yavanim are about writing it down. Only what's written is important. So therefore, the miracle of Chanukah is not nice, and it's not given over to write it down. The Gemara in Shabbos says, "My Chanukah. Why is this Chag called Chanukah?" So it tells a story of what happened, and part of the reason there is the Chanukah of the kingship that they saw since the miracle came through the Pach. So therefore, they saw the Neshamayim with the Ruach HaKodesh. It's time for this Malchus that is not forever. It's only a Malchus Shel Shah, Shel Pach, Imloch, without the Lam Voed. Therefore, the Chashmonayim, which is the Chinuch for the future kingship, which will be the Lam Voed in the time of Mashiach. So Chanukah again happened at the time after the end of Nevuah, and they saw that the Choshech of the Yavan was coming into the world. So we put the Chanukah on the outside, said the Chotzer, in order to show that the light of the Torah, again, the light of the Chanukah is the light of the organos. It's in the Torah, and that's represented in the Chanukah, and therefore it comes out. We put on the outside to show that even the chitzoni, even the ideas of secular, the Torah reaches there as well. So that the organos of the Torah, if you want to know about life, about the secular subjects, you'll find it in the Torah, because the light of the Torah reaches there as well. And today, where, as the Ramah says, we put it inside, it's because the people who are trying to battle the Torah today, a lot of the times we have more issues inside trying to stop the Torah. The Goyim don't necessarily want to stop the Jews learning Torah anymore. It's the Jews that want the Jews to stop learning Torah. The Yavanim tried to be Choshech, and there was a fight against them. So at the time of Chanukah, they had that revelation of the organos during the 8 days of the Chanukah, but they didn't know if that was only in response to the Mesiras Nefesh of the Chashmonayim at the time of Chanukah. They didn't know at that time if the revelation of the organos that's in the Torah was for Chanukah, was only that year. So therefore next year, when they saw on the 25th Kislev, there was a revelation again during those 8 days of the organos. Therefore, they set the Chanukah, the festival of Chanukah, only the year after. The year later, the Gemara says, the year later, they were Koveya, the Chanukah, because only the later year did they see that same light was being shone, that we got the organos during these 8 days, just like we did then. This is another reason why there's 8 days of Chanukah, because maybe you should have Chanukah on the 26th, because the first day wasn't a miracle, as they say, but they saw that the light was on the 25th, so they knew for sure that it was an 8-day Chag. Now, with the battle of the Nevuah, so what's greater than the Nevuah at the end of days in the time of Mashiach will be this revelation of the organos. Right now, the organos is hidden in the Torah, but the time of Mashiach, the organos will be available, and it will be megale for everybody in the time of Mashiach. And therefore, Chanukah is this time where the organos is revealed, which is where we have the revelation of this future time during Chanukah. This is higher than the Nevuah. So therefore, this is one of the reasons why the Chag is called Chanukah, my Chanukah. I need to tell the story to tell you that this is a chinuch, this is preparation. That these 8 days every year is a preparation for the time of Mashiach, when the time of Mashiach, that organos is available and revealed, so that the Chachamim at the time saw that there was this revelation of this organos at the time of Chanukah, and therefore we celebrate the Chanukah with the lighting the candles. This is the revelation of the organos, which will be in the future, but we only have it right now in these 8 days. And therefore it's called Chanukah, which is a preparation and get taught about what the future of the time of Mashiach will be. This is a halacha with the lighting of the candles, where the father of the house can light the menorah for the whole household, and the Mahadran, then each one lights their own menorah. There's 2 ways of learning, and the way that is generally done with learning is that people go to a shir, and the Rav tells the shir, and they will listen to the shir, and therefore they have what the Rav said. So that would be the stam halacha, that one is lighting the menorah for everybody. However, if the Talmidim, and this is very rare, do chazara, then on the material in which they did, then they can be toifus in the material themselves. It's coming from this, because they go from the igulim to the yashar. They go from vague ideas to working the sugya through themselves, and now they can give it over, because they think they can give it over when they hear it, but when they actually go through, they get stuck and see the problems. So when they go over it themselves, they do the chazara, then they make a kinyan on the material themselves. Now they're shaykh to give over their own shir, now they're shaykh to give over their own Torah that they took from the Rabbi, and it made it more. So there's toifeset or from the chazara. And it's not like, again, we're fighting in Chanukah, we're fighting against the chachmas chitzoni, about the secular subject. So when you have the secular subject, so Battle of Hastings of 1066, and then going on chazara doesn't help. But by Torah, there's Tosefet or every time that you go over it, and therefore you can make a kinyan on it, and it's a different or than the or you originally got. That doesn't exist by the Chachams Chitzoni. So therefore, you have the Mahadran, so where each one does it themselves, because they're able to do to Tosefet or by doing a Chazara on the Torah. So the Mahadran of the Mahadran is that every day you do more and you repeat what you did yesterday. So you keep going. So it's minor that you're to Sevet, or even you do Chazara on what you did before. You already did Chazara. Every time you do Chazara, then you get to Sevet, or there's something new in the Sugi. You bring more Torah into the world. Megale more Torah in your Seichel. And all this, that's the Mahadran. And Mahadran, you keep on doing Chazara, because the Or of the Menorah is reflecting the Or of the Torah. So just keep on going over and over, and you bring more and more Torah into the world. Beit Shammai says that you reduce the candles. The idea there is that coming from the Rav, who's the big Talmid Chacham, and when he gives it to his Talmidim have lesser seichel. So it's Meram is the idea of, as you in the transmission, that it goes into a lesser seichel, and therefore it gets. Even though that there's more or in the world, there's more Torah in the world, that the cause is greater than the effect. That the source is going to be on a higher level than the Makabel, and therefore when the Makabel takes it, then it's Miramas and the candle's getting less, that every time that you give it over to each generation, to each cause and effect, so then it goes less. So there's a Gemara in Menachos 99, where Dama ben Achuso of Rabbi Shmuel asked as Rabbi Shmuel, like me, I learned all the Torah, can I now learn the Chachmas Yivanis? And Rabbi Shmuel says to him, the pasuk lo yimur sefer Torah zemipicha v'gisabo yom v'layla. They have to learn Torah day and night. Go and find a time that is not from the day and not from the night, and then you can learn the Chachmas Yivanit. That's the time that you can learn the secular subjects. And the time that's not from the night and not from the day is Shkia Chama, after Ben Moshes. Once you hit Shkia until it says, so that is Ben Moshes. It's not from the day, it's not from the night. So then Davka, we metakin the lighting of the candles and the Ner Chanukah then at that time of Shkia, Mamish, because we show that even at that time of Shkia, don't say that that's not called the day and night, and therefore I'm potter from learning Torah, and therefore I can learn Chachmas Yivanis, which is again the time of Chanuka, of what we're fighting against. So therefore, we lighted Davka at that point in time to show that even during that time, Chayiv and Torah, and that's called day and night. So the miracles of Chanuka bring out revelation of the Torah through the Or, through the Shemin, the miracles of the Shemin. So this is a level of Nesinus Torah, just like we had at Har Sinai. So there's a level of Kabbalah Torah, then you have the Kabbalah Torah of Shebechtav and Shavuos, and you have the Or is coming through the Menorah, the Torah Shebal Peh. So just like at Shavuos, we have milk. So too, at Chanukah, there's a mitzvah, says the Ramah, to have milk. So the Nes came out through the milk, which is a remiss to the Torah of Shavuos, is coming out at the time of Chanukah. So that's why the miracle of Chanukah came out through the milk. Therefore, that's why we have milk at Chanukah, because it's just like the Nesinus Torah at Shavuos. There's drasha on the pasuk. Tohu vohu b'choshech al pei hatohom. The drasha is the tohu is the galus of Bavel, and bohu is the galus of Mada, and choshech is Yavan. So Yavan is davka choshech, and therefore we have the or of the candles to banish the choshech. So what is one of the aspects of the choshech of Yavan is that Yavan wanted to remove the Torah and bring in secular ideas and chokhmah in. Now, secular chokhmah is all b'toch seichel. Everything that is secular ideas, or everything that fits in the seichels, everything makes sense. You have your sciences, you have your history, all these things that you make sense of it. But the Torah goes beyond the seichel. Therefore, like you have an eved that is working for the master, so that the eved has to be mevatel itself to the master. So the Yavanim, they wanted to mevatel the Torah beyond seichel and only have the chokhmah that is betoch seichel, that's under the seichel. So the eved trying to be a master over the master. So the nisim, the miracles that happen that during Chanukah, it coming beyond the seichel, things that don't make sense, as we say in Al Hanisim, that the few they destroy the many. So the miracles come beyond the seichel, and then we have the light that goes into the darkness and shines there. So again, the darkness is the chokhmas of the secular chokhmas, the secular ideas, because it's all foolishness when you compare it to the Torah. And the greatest ideas in the Chochmas Chetzonis, the greatest ideas you'll find outside of Torah, is like foolishness compared to what the Torah is. Since the Torah is Yedias Hashem, whereas the secular ideas are Yedias Adam. So the greatest man is just a fool in the presence of the Lord. So therefore, this Chochman says it's Choshech keneged the Or, and never comes the Or on Chanuka and dispels the Choshech. And never every year we need to remind ourselves, because in every generation we have this battle to make of the greatness of the Chochmas Chitzoni versus the greatness of the Torah. So sometimes the Jews will get confused, and that they'll be drawn after the Chochmas Chitzoni connected to the Torah. And a lot of the times, as we have today, you try to bring the Chochmas Chitzoni into the Torah and try to debase the Torah based on the Chochmas Chitzoni, based on the secular ideas of the time. Try to bring the Torah down to that level. So the Chanukah is saying to us, we have to defeat this and bring out the Choshech. And don't get confused between the Torah that's beyond the Seichel and the secular Chachmas that are under the Seichel, that are fit into the Seichel, and therefore are nothing compared to the Torah. That's all our secular ideas are Choshech, or darkness, compared to the light. Therefore on Chanukah we get the miracles beyond the Seichel, and we have it in our candles, in our Ner, in our light of Chanukah.